Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime Symbol, and today I'm going to be giving you part 4 of What If Naruto Was the Homelander. Remember to get this one too, 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, if you haven't checked it out yet, I posted a brand new episode of What If Naruto Unlock 100% of his brain over on Anime King 3. So go ahead, check out that and enjoy. And if you're new, yes, I indeed have 3 more channels that I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. All of the links will be down in the description, so go ahead and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. So without further ado or wasting more time, how about we jump right into this, shall we? Let us begin now, guys. So, to do a bit of a recap from the last part that we left off, Team 7 returned back to the village, as everything seemed to be quite okay. Their mission was a success. Zabuza did not return. Gato did not show up. They spent the extra 2 weeks there to make sure everything was up to date and everything seemed fine. They returned back to the village, as Hiruzen spoke to Kakashi about Naruto. Naruto had been oddly quiet in the second half of the mission after they came to the house, which was a bit strange, but everything was, well, standard, and he was proving to be a great asset on the missions. So yes, that was okay. As Naruto made his way, he was greeted by Aiko. Everything seemed to be fine, as he was A-okay. Until a week passed, as we find Naruto within the record room, searching through a couple of files, as there was 2 dead Konoha guards on the ground. He knew. Oh yes, he knew. He knew everything. The day finally came when he decided to do something about it. She invited him inside, as he wanted to talk. However, something was just not right. She could tell that, as he was speaking to her about the things that he disliked. He hated being lied to. Yes, she knew that. As she quickly realized that he knew. She tried to play it off. She tried to tell him that he was insane, that what he was saying did not make any sense, that he was wrong. However, she quickly activated the seal, code red. The apartment complex, every ninja fled. As they quickly put up the barrier, the entire apartment complex blew up from the bottom, pulling it down into a very powerful suction system that dropped the entire thing in a sealed off area. As Danzo was alerted, Hiruzen was alerted, quickly making their way down there. The Fuinjutsu members activated the seal outside, preventing him from ever escaping. They used a monitor on the inside to speak with him. Hiruzen tried to speak with him to calm him down, but Naruto was done listening to them. It's time that he showed them that they just did not compare, and in doing so he was going to kill every last one of them. However, Danzo put the protocols that they had into play. They doused Naruto with every violent thing that they had, from poison to poison gas, everything. They believed that it should be enough to take him down, but they were severely wrong. All it did was successfully burn his clothing off. but he was fine. Naruto emerged and massacred all the root ninjas that were there. However, as Hiruzen got ready, summoning Enma, Naruto wasn't there to kill them though. He was going to make them suffer. He already knew how to make Danzo suffer, and he had something planned for Hiruzen. Until then though, this was a reminder of him. Naruto descended upon the village. He flew through buildings, tearing the ground apart, ripping through people by just flying. As he found Aiko, Naruto did not hesitate to burn her eyes out, as he flattened the entire group of root ninjas that surrounded her, as he told them that he will return, and when he does, they were going to hate it, extremely so. News about what he did spread, as they were rather shocked. His teammates Sakura and Sasuke, they couldn't believe that Naruto would do something like that. However, Kakashi confirmed their theories. He did, and now the village was on high alert because of the threat that Naruto posed. Sasuke knew that Naruto was abnormally powerful. However, the entire village was on high alert. This was no drill. This was to be taken extremely seriously. The caution on Naruto was great, extremely so. As Danzo found himself working overtime in order to find a way to stop this monstrosity, we find Naruto as he made his way towards Orochimaru, making good on that talk that they had to return back to the base. Orochimaru saw the boy and welcomed him with open arms. Trying to get Naruto on his side, he knew the child truly despised those who lied to him, so that was something that he just wasn't going to do, as he wanted to show Naruto up front. Naruto made his way towards the testing room though. An idea popped in his head as he saw that the others were a failure while he was a success. He was the only one that was capable of piercing his own skin, which he did. Perhaps another like him would be able to. As Naruto dripped his blood inside of the subject's mouth, the boy that was standing there, his arms returned back to a normal size as they were able to elongate extremely, and his body also got dense and powerful as well. As Orochimaru finally realized what he was missing, it was Naruto's DNA that he needed all along, and now that he had it, he could create an army of superhumans to take over the entire elemental nation. The whole world will have to bow to him. With this power under his control, no one would be able to... The Sannin was cut off as Naruto laser, his head wide open. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across to the place check out for yourself. So this way we jump right into this brand new episode. Let us begin now guys. We begin this episode at Konoha. The village was on a strict lockdown at the moment. Everything was on high alert. Security, their guards, alarms, their seals, their barriers. Everyone was on high alert. Possibly the greatest threat to the village was out there. And this threat was something that they could not stop at the moment. The only one that had an idea at the moment was Hiruzen. However, this idea would cost him his life. However, he would not hesitate to give it up in order to stop Naruto once and for all. However, Naruto was highly unpredictable. His flight pattern, his heat vision, and his speed would prove to be disastrous for Konoha even if Hiruzen was to sacrifice his life. And his intention was to make them suffer for lying to him, for betraying him as he saw it. So therefore, Hiruzen and Danzo both knew that the child would make sure that he caused as much damage as possible in order for them to suffer on the inside as they watched Konoha burn. All of those who graduated was a part of the academy as they came to talk to Sakura to find out what the hell was going on as they heard about this Naruto individual. Naruto was not in the academy with them. Sakura was still at a loss. He saved her life twice. She didn't expect, she never thought that he would do something like this. As for Sasuke, he was angry at the moment. Missions for the lower ranked teams were suspended as the village was in a high dose of movement at the moment. Everything and everyone was moving around. Kakashi and several others were being called at the drop of a hat, so he didn't have the time to focus on them at the moment. As Hiruzen realized the danger that Naruto posed, and he wasn't about to let this village burn by not taking that threat seriously. At this very moment, Orochimaru of the Sannin possessed a very unique and powerful technique that allowed him to switch bodies, taking over another by devouring their souls. His unique soul, which possessed many healing properties, would make any damage to that body heal rather quickly. However, healing from something like your head exploding was something that he could not do. Therefore, Orochimaru had no choice but to leave the body that he was currently residing in, despite the fact the time frame was nowhere close. However, he had no choice. Standing there nonchalant, Naruto watched as the thing leaped from the corpse that he just destroyed. It landed in the corner of the room. Before it came together, towering over him, it was large. Orochimaru's voice came out more snake-like. He was bloody furious. "You wretched child, what have you done?" he said, hissing at Naruto angrily. Naruto looked down towards the corpse. Usually when I do that, people don't just tend to recover. Well, I wouldn't call what you are recovering. You look like some sort of mixed abomination. "Answer me!" the Sannin roared. Naruto laughed, amused. "Whoa, scary," he said, raising his hands in a sarcastic gesture. "I spent my entire life being manipulated and lied to. Did you really think I was going to come here and be someone else's pawn? Besides, you gave me what I've always wanted. The understanding to realize that I am not a human. As much as I was before, I am not anymore. I am something far superior. You might think that you were the one that created me, but no. You were just a part of something larger. And now, there is a vision that I see, that the whole world will realize very soon. And you, backwater slippery snake piece of garbage, are just another obstacle in my way. A non-superhuman that I will eradicate," said Naruto. Orochimaru bared his fangs. "I'll devour you," he said, intending on trying to spill as much blood of Naruto's as possible. The Sannin lashed out in rage, forgetting one simple thing: the reason why Naruto was now here and not dead when Konoha set a trap. Naruto flew right through him, punching literally a hole right through him. However, the Sannin snakes had moved, giving Naruto a way out. The snakes then proceeded to surround Naruto as they tried to pull him down. Naruto's eyes started to glow before he burned almost all of them. Naruto noticed that the red liquid seeping from the blood wasn't normal. He took a deep breath in before he exhaled, causing what seemed to be a miniature storm that blew all of it away. He wasn't done though. As he took off, Naruto flew around the room at blinding speed. As his heat vision came out, it started to revolve, looking like a spinning ball of death. Orochimaru tried to escape, but little by little, one by one, his snakes were being burnt apart. Naruto flew upwards as he ripped the ceiling apart. He then brought it down and squashed dozens of Orochimaru white snakes. His heat vision then started to blast all of them around the room. The others that were there had quickly backed away for their own safety, knowing that getting hit by that would result in their death. Orochimaru was slippering and twisting away, trying his best to evade all of Naruto's attacks as they rained down upon him. That is when the Sannin noticed something on the ground. It was Naruto's blood. A droplet had dropped on the floor. Right there. The Sannin looked back up at Naruto and hissed as Naruto flew in the sky. Orochimaru looked around, wondering what he was. Boom! A large chunk of the snakes were ripped off. The Sannin tried to move, but Naruto was flying at his fastest, tearing through the entire base as he was ripping the Sannin piece by piece apart. Realizing the danger that he was actually facing, the Sannin decided to make a run for it, slithering away with the last remnants of snake that he possessed. However, Naruto broke through the wall and gripped him by his mutated face as he smashed him through several walls that make up the base. Naruto kept on driving the Sannin, tearing his head across the ground. He wasn't done as he came up for air and threw him in the sky. Naruto zapped him, his heat vision bursting through Orochimaru. Naruto flew upwards and tore right through him before he rained his heat vision down, disintegrating everything that was left of his Sannin. Flying back down towards the base, Naruto incinerated every last white snake, wiping away every remnant of the Sannin like he was never there. Looking around, his gaze could no longer see any. Well, that should handle that, he said to himself before flying over. Naruto ripped the ground apart. As he pulled up a large tray, there were multiple tiny vials, all of them having a blue liquid inside. This was it, the compound V. As a smile came to Naruto's face, he heard something as he turned. The guy that now possessed the ability to stretch his arm beyond any normal mortal stood there terrified. The sound couldn't reach her that was showing Naruto around. She was also frightened. As Naruto looked at the both of them, his heat vision blasted out of his eyes and blew the girl's head apart. He did not even spare her another glance. "Do not worry," said Naruto. "I will not kill you. In fact, you're the first. You are my first creation, a part of a new, improved race. No longer humans. We are Supes," Naruto said, short for superhumans. "We are their better, and we will become their leader." The look in Naruto's eyes, a very terrifying one for anyone to ever witness. Time skip. Kabuto was returning back to the base after retrieving what the Sannin had sent him to go and retrieve. However, Kabuto arrived to a rather shocking scene as he saw Toji. That was his name, possessing dark green hair and green eyes as well. His name was Toji. The boy was an orphan that Orochimaru had found and put him a part of the experiment. However, the boy's body was failing slowly. Kabuto was shocked as he saw Toji standing in front of two sound ninjas who were on their knees. Toji then pushed his hand through their chests, bursting through flesh and bones like it was nothing as he tore their hearts out. The other sound ninjas cowered in fear as they quickly dropped to one knee. Kabuto then looked up as he realized their gaze was focusing on. Looking up, he saw someone floating there like a deity. As Naruto descended down in front of him, Kabuto wondered what the hell was. He couldn't get to finish his sentence as Naruto gently knocked him over the head as Kabuto collapsed unconscious. Orochimaru's right-hand man. He had information that he was going to need. He thought to himself, take him and lock him up somewhere secure. As the sound ninjas hurry up and did as they were told. As they were taking Kabuto inside, you could see a mass fire, and that fire was burning dozens of bodies. Naruto had already shown them that if they retaliate against him, this is what they were going to get. Naruto had ripped their arms off, tore their heart out, and lift their heads off their shoulders in the most brutalist way possible. And now the remaining Sound Ninjas here were terrified. Their life meant nothing to him. After all, they were just puppets for him to use. Well, they were going to be good practice for the remaining others that he intended to give this wonderful gift to become a soup like himself. As he learned more, that it wasn't just one simple ability that anyone can possess. Toji was able to rotate his arms at immense speed. The bones in his arms became so flimsy they were like jelly, as they weren't affected by the rotation, and at the same time the flesh became harder, allowing him to rip through metal and tear through human flesh with ease. Not to mention, Naruto was trying to test his durability, making him slice his own arm. However, the arm did not regenerate. Instead, it got sick, infected, and died. And then, another one regrew within seconds. Ripping his arms off would just result in his arms regrowing right after. His durability had also increased as well, and his natural strength. However, just like Naruto, his ability to use chakra for jutsus was no longer there. While his body still produced chakra, he could not use it as a ninja. But with these abilities, he really doesn't need it anymore. Now does he? Time skip. Kabuto was finally waking up as he felt a tremendous headache as he tried to understand what the hell was going on. His mind started to focus on the last thing that happened, the last thing that he could remember. He tried to jump up, but he found himself shackled down, his arms tied with thick chains. Kabuto started to make noise as he moved. The chains rattle. That is when he heard movement outside, as he was trapped in one of the many cells. Precisely 1 minute and 20 seconds later, the door opened as Naruto stepped inside. "What have you done?" Kabuto said, glaring up towards him. "First of all, watch your tone and your glare. The only reason why you're still drawing breath is because of my will. Secondly, I've killed Orochimaru." You've what?" "Yes, ripped him apart with my bare hands. Did you really believe that I would allow someone else to control me? Well, that's of the past right now. What I need from you is information. You're his right-hand man, therefore, I believe you know where all the bases are located. And why should I tell you that?" Kabuto said to him. Naruto activated his heat vision and fired, burning Kabuto's leg. Naruto could decrease or increase the intensity as Kabuto's flesh started to melt slowly. The pain was agonizing. Kabuto found himself panting for breath as he felt like his soul was being burned out a moment ago. Despite being drastically weaker, Naruto, focusing it on one point, would cause extreme pain for the, target. This wasn't a discussion, nor was I asking nicely. You're going to tell me what I want, otherwise I'll make you suffer in ways that you can't even imagine. Time skip. Naruto stepped out of the room. The Sound Ninja guard that was standing there glanced inside, and what he saw mortified him. Kabuto here was all gone. One of his eyes was removed. Now all of the screaming made sense. His left arm, going down towards his chest, had burn marks carved into it. The way they were carved, it seemed like it was slow and extremely painful. However, Kabuto was still amongst the living. Clean him up and make sure he doesn't die. There is still information that I believe that he possesses. If he dies, it's your head. The Sound Ninja quickly got to work, making sure Kabuto did not draw his final breath. Time skip. The Sound 4, Orochimaru elites of the elites, was told to gather by another Sound member. Orochimaru wanted to speak with them. They were not the only ones though. Kimimaro was also at this base. Kimimaro was another powerful member and the unofficial leader of the Sound 4 when Orochimaru was not around. Hey, you were summoned as well, Kimimaro. This must be big. Kidamaru, a boy with extra arms, spoke up. Whatever Orochimaru-sama desires, he shall receive. It doesn't matter if the mission is large or small. It shall be completed, Kimimaro said, giving Kidamaru a glare to step in line. After all, it doesn't matter what Lord Orochimaru wanted, he will get. However, they heard footsteps coming their way. But these footsteps sounded different. Having known someone that could, well, end your existence. Someone that has shown multiple times that if you betray him or move against him, your death was going to be agonizingly painful. They study everything about him, including his walking and the footsteps. But these were different. They were surprised when they saw the boy, around 13 years old, stepped out, dressed in a strange black and dark red suit. Fingerless gloves. He stood there rather nonchalant, his arms crossed. I'm sure you're all wondering why I called you here today. Wait, why you called us here? Who the hell are you? Teiwaya, another member of the group, spoke up. As Naruto turned towards her, all will be answered soon enough. However, a bone blade was placed right at Naruto's throat. He allowed it though. Where is Lord Orochimaru-sama, and who are you? Answer my questions now. Kimimaro said. Well, for one thing, Orochimaru is dead. A thick silence resonated through the room as they all looked at one another, looking towards Naruto. And I was the one that killed him. Ripped him apart with my bare hands, you see. You're lying. Orochimaru-sama cannot be killed, especially not to someone like you, a mere child. Well, you have no idea who I am. Kimimaro was refusing to accept this reality. Mind your words and do not speak ill of my master. Your master is dead. He's food worm at the moment, so I suggest you listen. Kimimaro lashed out, trying to pierce Naruto, but his bone shattered on Naruto's chest, shocking confusion as he looked up. However, Naruto had lashed out and gripped him by the face. I could tell that you were going to be a problem. From what Kabuto told me, Naruto sunk his fingers, his thumbs, into his eyes before he ripped his head clean off. The corpse dropped down to the ground. The others quickly went into fighting postures, activating their curse mark rather quickly. Calm down, all of you, said Naruto. I don't know who the hell you are, or who you think you are to tell us to calm. Teiwaya was cut off as Naruto flew and slammed his fist in her mouth. She staggered back, blood oozing from her mouth. He then slammed his elbow right in her gut. He then backhanded her into the wall before grabbing her leg and slamming her face first into the wall roughly. He then drove her into the ground. He gripped her by the face. However, 3 arrows were fired towards him. They simply bounced off his back as Naruto slammed Teiwaya into the wall. He then turned and flew. Kidamaru could not even process what was happening. Naruto drove him into the solid concrete, He screamed out as Naruto broke all of his arms before stepping into his leg, breaking the bones inside of it. He then turned. Seikon tried to move, but Naruto gripped the both of his heads. He then spun them around before bashing them in the ground several times. Picking them up, he kicked them in the face as he was hitting both. He then slammed his heat vision into their chests, throwing them back as they crashed into the wall. Jirobo appeared behind Naruto as he wrapped his arms around him, intending on crushing him. Naruto simply fly upwards before coming down. He slammed him into the ground 5 times until he released him. He then grabbed him by the face as he slapped him with his bare hand until his face was swollen and blood was leaking from his mouth. He then threw him into the ceiling. He then flew around the room and grabbed each and every one of them as he brought them outside. He threw them through trees, one after another. He did not stop until they were in agonizing pain, until they were suffering and begging for death and release, until they understand who was in charge here. All of them lie on the ground in agony, absolute agony, as Naruto floated over them like a benevolent being, his gaze looking down towards the both of them. Now, as I was saying, Orochimaru is dead, and I'm now in charge. And I've selected you for a very special evolution. For you to move up the food chain, to become more than just a pathetic human, to become a superhuman. To join me, to making this world understand that beings like us are above them. I will grant you all greatness, as long as you swore your allegiance and loyalty to me. However, turn your back or try to betray me, and I'll end your life in the most horriblest way possible. Now, allow me to release you from your suffering. Agree to my deal. I see that most of you are not in the condition to speak. Blink twice if you accept my offer. All of them did, without hesitation. They were in agony, true utter agony, and they would give anything to escape. Orochimaru had trained his people to serve the strongest rule. He was always the strongest, and he instilled that fear into them. However, all of that fear vanished away. Every single ounce of it replaced with a new fear of Naruto, Uzumaki. Time skip. The properties of the compound V and Naruto's blood immediately repair all of their broken parts, healing their wounds, fixing bones like that. Naruto stood there as he watched, having one of the doctors on standby that Orochimaru used to administrate the dose. All 4 of them lie in a bed. Naruto watched the changes happen right in front of his eyes. As he watched their body slowly changing, mutating. From what the Sanin wrote in his notes, it would take 1 hour. Naruto decided to head off, leaving them within the care of the remaining sound ninjas. All of them seem absolutely terrified of Naruto. There was a good reason for that. On the outside, 2 sound ninjas were burning something. Well, they were burning corpses. 29. That is a number of people that Naruto had to slaughter before they all surrendered. Realizing that there is no hope, absolutely none. Kabuto had no choice but to give Naruto whatever he needed, and that included the locations. And with his X-ray vision, it was extremely easy, as Naruto flew from base to base, trying to find suitable subjects in order to become a part of the New World Order. However, all of them were disappointments. Those who disappoint him greatly the bases that provided nothing Naruto wiped them off the map, literally, erasing everyone inside. He came across something though. Naruto was about to tear this base apart when the strange water fill container in front of him started to move. He then heard it. "I know you're there. Show yourself, or else." Someone materialized out of water. Naruto blinked. "Kabuto told me about you. You're the water one. I'm not sure of your name. Tell me it." "I'm Suigetsu." "Who the hell are you?" "I'm your new leader. Someone that you ought to respect." Naruto stepped forward and finger flicked the glass. It shattered, causing the water to pour out. Suigetsu, who was around the same age as Naruto, appeared naked behind Naruto, his finger pointed towards his temple. "And why shouldn't I just kill you right here and leave this place?" "Why don't you try?" said Naruto. What?" Suigetsu said, not expecting that response. "Go ahead, give it your best shot. If I'm not mistaken, Orochimaru has kept you in here for a long time. And if he sees you out, he's gonna stuck you back in another. This will be your chance. You can run away. Well, you will have to kill me first. So, what is gonna be? Your freedom or..." Suigetsu did not hesitate. But to his utter shock, his water bullet did not do anything. "Now do you understand?" Naruto backhanded him before he could turn back to water. He crashed into the wall. Suigetsu puked up blood, utterly shocked, as he wasn't fast enough to revert his molecules. Naruto's heat vision started to glow in his eyes. "You're lucky though. I'm not here to end your existence. I actually have a proposition for you." Time skip. Naruto flew as he landed calmly. He then looked down as he saw the hatch, reaching down as he gripped the metal hatch and tore it open. All of the traps went off. Trying to pry your way in would activate the traps, causing violent explosions to reduce anyone to dust. However, Naruto simply descended downwards, making his way calmly, arriving inside of the base. The moment he did, it seems like they were already on alert. A kunai was thrown towards his temple. Naruto swatted it away. Someone arrived behind him and drove a blade into his back. It shattered against his skin. Naruto turned and grabbed the guy's head and pushed it into the wall, splattering it. Another one rushed forward, going through hand sign as Naruto flew forward and caught his hands. He tore them out of the socket. That is what happened all the way down. There was nothing but blood, gore, chaos, until he arrived in the center room. "I have no idea who the hell you are, but you made a big mistake coming in here. Do you have any idea who's in charge of this facility?" The woman up above spoke down to Naruto. She was older than him just by a few years, blue hair and dark eyes. As she gazed down towards him, her name was Guren. As Naruto looked at her, "Given your features, I would say that your name is Guren." "Now how do you know my name?" she said. "Would you mind informing me who are you?" "That's not important right now. I know you have something planned. Why don't you go ahead and use it?" "Huh. Alright, fine. I'll just let them beat the answers out of you." Naruto watched as the sections down below open, and 5 individuals emerged, all of them having some sort of gimmick. They stepped towards him. One of them, his body was made from a strange blue substance. He rushed towards Naruto, intending on wrapping it around him. However, he was bisected in half. Even Guren was shocked. Yes, the one to the left send a bird towards Naruto to try and distract him. However, he wasn't prepared for Naruto to fly and punch a hole through his chest. Bombs then came raining down on Naruto, followed by smoke. They didn't expect him to fly upwards and grab their heads and slammed it together, crushing it as he did. That is when Gozu moved in, the strong one, as his arms stretched. He tried to make Naruto move, but he was unsuccessful as Naruto brought his arm down like a blade, taking his arm off. He then stuffed Gozu's own arm into his own mouth, breaking the hinges on his jaw, crushing his head in the process. Guren was mortified, absolutely shocked to what she just witnessed. Orochimaru had saved her life a few years back. Guren possessed a very special Kekigenkai, which made her useful to him. She lost her parents at a very young age, and then she was always on her own. She was alone, having no one and nothing. No one ever truly cared for her. And that always made her feel depressed. Having no one, as she watched others, being a part of families. However, she took on more than she could chew one day, and she almost died. If it wasn't for Orochimaru's interference, he saved her. He gave her purpose. He gave her reasons. First of all, Orochimaru is dead. The words that left Naruto's lips incite rage within Guren as multiple crystals, pink crystals, shoot towards him. Naruto simply smirked. Minutes. That was all it took. Guren was on the ground. Her breathing was coming out odd. Her body was stiff. This was it. One more hit and she was done for. Every single bone in her body had been broken. Her left arm was twisted unnaturally. Her right leg was bent to the point where the bone was sticking out. Blood covered her form as she lay on the ground. Never did she ever think that she would face someone stronger than Lord Orochimaru. However, to her shock, she thought that she was going to die. He sat down beside her. She couldn't talk. Her mouth was filled with blood. A few of her teeth was broken as well, as he just sat there beside her. At first, I thought I would just eliminate you. Kabuto said that you were proven to be loyal than most. However, upon further inspection, I decided not to. I'm not sure what it is, but you intrigue me, said Naruto. And I believe that you should be a part of the new world. However, we will need to get rid of that loyalty that you once had for that dead maggot. Because he is dead. He is food for the worms now. I know that might anger you, but I need you to release that immediately. I want you to be a part of something. Something new. Something great. Something that would change your perspective. Something that would give you a purpose. Kabuto had told Naruto more than just the names of people. Orochimaru is now dead. Even if you think that your purpose is to hunt and kill me, something like that would never happen, as you can see from your battered state. However, I am willing to give you a proper purpose to serve at my side as we change this world, as we change the entire notion of what the true greatness of what humanity can be, not what they are right now. They're nothing but fragile, weak, miserable people. But I am willing to offer you powers that will rise you above humanity and turn you into one of us, a superhuman that is no longer bound by their laws, their words. Your responsibilities will change. Nations will bow at your knees. All you need to do is to pledge your loyalty to me. You have no one left to support, no one left to follow, but as you can see, I am here. And you've seen for yourself. I cannot be harmed. I'm indestructible, said Naruto. I will not die. As a pathetic excuse that Orochimaru was. So, pledge your loyalty to me. Give me your life. Give me your attention. Give me everything that you are, and I will show you greatness. Guren was trapped away in her thoughts as she writhed in agony. Maybe it was the pain, maybe. It was the fact that he wiped the floor with her. On her own, she was taught. Well, she taught herself that the strong survive and the weak die. And in this situation, she was weak, as she found herself. She was going to die if she did not accept his offer. She was going to die. Orochimaru-sama was no longer amongst them. If anyone else had said that they killed Orochimaru, she would not take their word at face value, but this boy, he wasn't a human. He was right, he was more than that. Guren found herself conflicted as the agonizing pain flew through her. She opened her mouth as she spat up a lot of blood as she looked up towards Naruto. Time skip. So far there has been nothing happening within the Hidden Leaf. While their defenses were high, while their shinobis were ready for an outscaled battle, there has been nothing. Slowly they started to send ninjas back on missions. Hiruzen was still worried about what would happen, but Konoha needed to operate. It needed to. However, he was worried that Naruto was doing this to get them to drop their guard, and when they least expect it, he striked. Him and Danzo had been meeting on multiple occasions, and now with the council involved as well, as they were trying to build a proper defense in order to handle the boy. Bringing Shikaku Nara into the fold, they would need his ingenious mind for this. Everyone was working together like a well-oiled machine. Team 7 had still not gotten a new member. Things were just too hectic at the moment, as Team 7 was helping with other teams on other missions. However, there was nothing that was too far away from the village. Everything within the nation. Sasuke hated this because no one was focusing on his training that much. Everything was just outscale. Nothing. Intensely focused on what he was doing, and that was pissing him off. While Sakura's mind was fixated on Naruto, she was worried, as she was able to find out what happened. Naruto had killed numerous people, as he just flew through many, using his heat vision to kill many. She was afraid that he would come back to do the same to them, because they were on the same team, as she was having terrible nightmares that she could not get over. Sometimes even seeing him, she was afraid, terribly so, as she was keeping this to herself though, which was the problem. Sasuke did not seem to be too concerned about it, as her team had already been stained by having that monster on it that killed innocent children and people for no reason. He just snapped. Time skip. A wall exploded outwards. A man was cowering in the corner. But our deal, he said, raising his hands. The new boss has a new deal. The person that spoke was Jirobo. While the new and improved Jirobo, now possessing super strength and also size manipulation as well, better than before. The man that he was hassling was the daimyo of the land of Rice Field, who had an agreement with Orochimaru. However, that agreement was destroyed, as Naruto was now in charge. Things were changing. Everything was changing. The man heard something as he looked to see. One of his guards crashed through the wall. They believed that they could stop this force from taking what they want. But that was just stupid. Standing there was Seikon. Seikon and Ukon had developed a very special ability. They were able to switch to one another now. No longer did they possess two heads. It was just one body, and they were able to switch. Seikon possessed energy blasts, superhuman agility, and superhuman durability, and a healing factor as well. While Ukon had great durability, almost indestructible, not as Naruto but comparing him to ninjas, well, he was a behemoth. He also possessed super strength and super hearing as well. Yes, both of them had different abilities. When they switch, he switched to Ukon. The moment he did so, someone drive a sword into his back, however it shattered. He turned back to Seikon. As the guards started rapidly backed away, he blasted him with the energy blast. Outside was Teiwaya, as she had developed several abilities as well. First of all, she had enhanced strength. She could also manipulate light and energy projection as well. She was burning out all the guards that came after her eyes, one after another. She burned their eyes out like it was nothing. As for Kidomaru, his ability was similar to Toji. He could regrow his limbs after they were cut off or destroyed. However, what made him different was, maybe it was because of his trait, but he's taking on genetics as a spider. He was able to literally spit acid from his mouth, and his bite was now venomous as well. The Sound 4 had truly elevated to new heights. But that was not all. Someone was stabbing through and knocking down several people. The problem was they were not visible. The person finally returned back to normal. Naruto had found him inside of one of Orochimaru's cages. He was about to kill him, but the person tried to fight him, despite seeing what he already did. Naruto found that a bit intriguing. However, he forgot his name. Perhaps he never truly knew his name. A lot was done to him. Naruto simply called him translucent because he was able to turn his body translucent. He reflects light in a very special way, and his skin was as hard as diamond. Naruto had went around, as the Sound 4 was not the only ones that he gathered for his new group that he was creating. Suigetsu had gained power similar to what he had before. He had changed. But now, Suigetsu had become the king of the sea. He was able to communicate and even control the animals within the sea. His body had become extremely durable as well. His strength had enhanced, as he was able to manipulate water to a greater extent than before. But he was no longer able to turn his body into water though. However, the benefit of his water manipulation increasing far outweighed the negative of not being able to do that anymore. Neither Suigetsu or Guren was here. Guren had taken up his offer, yes, she had, which gave her electrical powers. Her crystal release was gone, but she could now manipulate pink lightning that was extremely destructive and chaotic, able to incinerate someone by simply holding on to them and burning the living daylights out of them. But not only that, Guren could fly like him, and she was super strong, and her durability had been enhanced. She was one of the stronger ones that had came into play, as Naruto noticed that. While Seikon and Ukon were powerful as well, Guren was far stronger. As Naruto watched as his army was growing, as he was trying to find suitable candidates, he was the only one that was going to pick and choose, no one else. Naruto dropped down from the heavens like the god that he was, landing right in front of the man. He was thrown to the ground. He did not raise his head to Naruto as he looked down in fear. You may look. Naruto's words caused him to gaze up, as all of the new soups stood behind Naruto, as he stood there as their leader, the one in charge. As you can see, things are changing, and now I'm in charge. Time skip. Guren did not know why she accepted. Perhaps she could have chosen death, but then what would be the point of that? He killed Orochimaru. While he was right, she could exact revenge for the man. Well, she did try. Flashback. Guren was shocked. However, she was not feeling well that her crystal release was gone. But now, she could manipulate lightning. She could simply use it. Her strength had been increased. She could also fly. She was shocked by all of this. It seems your evolution was greater than most. Yeah, it was. Guren spun and slammed her fist into Naruto's face, causing him to stagger back. She then flew forward and uppercut him. She then pushed him as he broke through the wall. She breaking through it as well as she broke him through another and another. She then pushed the lightning from her palms. It slammed him into several other walls. Guren stood there, taking deep breaths, surprised how fast she did that. However, to her shock and surprise, he started to walk towards her. Guren was surprised. This was the first time. Naruto reached up as he touched his nose. Just as he expected. The only one that could actually wound him was those that was strong as him. He was bleeding. Just a small cut, but still. Naruto looked at her. It seems you're not so indestructible, Guren said. However, he flew at her. She tried to react, but she found herself too slow. Boom! Naruto hit her straight across the entire facility. She smashed through so much. Guren slammed hard on the ground. She was shocked as she spat out blood. One hit. After all she unleashed on him, all it did was cause his nose to bleed. And he gave her one hit. Naruto descended as she looked up towards him. It doesn't matter what she do. He will always be stronger. She realized now that she could never hope to defeat him. She could never defeat him. As Naruto looked down towards her, that was the first time that he put so much force into one of his punches. It didn't matter what he created, it seems. He's created so much soups already, but his strength was still greater than all of them. And if necessary, he could wipe them off the goddamn map. However, with the stronger ones coming now, it would be a bit difficult. But seeing the look in her eyes, he knew from this moment on that Guren would never betray him. She would never betray him. End of flashback. Guren descended down like death itself. They screamed out in agony. Who were they? They were snow ninjas. The land of snow was being invaded. It was a very rich and powerful nation that has been untouched by war. They had the most technologically advanced state at the moment of the entire elemental nation. Orochimaru had been taking stock of them, and Naruto decided to put some of his plan into motion. After all, he and Orochimaru were not on the same level. he was flying much higher, as Guren and several others that were not the Zone 4, as they start to step out into the light. Naruto had found few others that he had turned into the peak of human evolution, into soups. A far distance away, hiding like the slippery snake that he was, in a deep dark cave, slitted eyes could be seen. It was none other than Orochimaru. Yes, the Sannin was not dead. The moment Orochimaru saw that blood drop on the ground, Orochimaru split his soul, bonding piece of himself toward the snake. So the moment his corpse draw his final breath, it would return. In order to kill something like Orochimaru, you had to erase all essence of him. But in the middle of the battle, Orochimaru sent away this snake. For good reasons, of course. Very good reasons. As he had put enough of his life force to make sure that he could emerge. Orochimaru had tried to go to his bases, but every single one of them had been hit. Showing his face now would lead to his death, as he realized that Naruto was not someone that he could beat. However, as Orochimaru held up a small vial, inside was Naruto's blood. Just one dose. In the other vial that he possessed was one vial of Compound V. Yes, this was one that he had that could create a superhuman. Yes, he had one. Just one. However, he's not giving it to himself just as yet, because he needed it to make a deal. Orochimaru knew that if Naruto knew that he was alive, he would be dead. Every single one of his people had turned against him in just a matter of weeks. He lost everything. The Akatsuki was still after him. Naruto was after him. Well, if he found out, the Sannin had nowhere to go except for one. The only people in this world that was craving Naruto's demise a bit more than him. And the only way to stop this monster, Orochimaru no longer had a lab, nothing that he could use. So he had to turn to the one village that he betrayed so long ago in order to try and reproduce this, if there was even a chance to do so. Yes, Orochimaru was heading to Konoha. But guys, me and subs right here. If you want to see this person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off now, see you guys soon. Peace.